Welcome to episode 24 of Pera's Playbook. Today we're joined by Cale Millen, UCONN football team. Cale, how are you?
How's it going, Alex? Thanks for having me on here, man.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I don't know what I should say to how's it going because I'm 99% sure there's an animal crawling around in my ceiling. I
Oh
can
yeah,
hear like the scurrying of the little feet. I texted my landlord. She was like, "Yeah, it's probably a squirrel. We'll take care of it later." But
yeah.
I still like can hear the little, feet like in my ceiling, and it kind of
Wait,
creeps you out.
does it get you when you're sleeping?
No, I noticed it the other day and I just kind of blew it off. I was like, yeah, it's probably with the wind or something. But now I
Oh
heard
yeah.
it again. And now once you hear it, it's kind of like you just know in the back of your mind, like there's something
You gotta
crawling
set
around.
you gotta set up a trap or something.
She said she'll send some people to set up a trap, but like I hope she means tomorrow. I don't know. But anyway, we're not here to talk about squirrels and ceilings. We're here to talk about some football and your career specifically. We're totally gonna like skip over recruiting. I usually like talk about recruiting, but I feel like
Sure,
you've got a big enough college career, like different spots along the
sure,
on the way that we can talk about. We'll skip over your recruiting and we'll go right to Oregon,
sure.
where you started off. You redshirted your first year.
Yep,
Um, but was the year that Justin Herbert was there, right? Your redshirt
it
year.
was. Yeah. No, we had my first year there, my redshirt freshman year. We had a really good team. Went to the Rose Bowl with Justin and a bunch of other guys like Javon Holland, Troy Dye. We had Panay Sewell. We were pretty stacked that year, so it was a fun first year, as good as it could have gone.
Yeah. And you being a quarterback, you had to have worked with, Justin in the same, position group at practice and stuff like that. So that had to have been kind of cool to like see a guy that talented and work with him. You see what he's doing at practice.
Absolutely, I think everybody's kind of seeing now, um, in the NFL how much success that he's having in just the short career that he's started, and he just got now he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But if you saw him every day like I did, it's really at no surprise that he's earned everything that he's worked for everything that he deserves everything that has come his way. And it was really cool to learn from him. I During fall camp, we would watch film together after practice, and I've always thought that this is a cool story. We would always watch film together, and as a freshman, I'm trying to learn the new offense, and just kind of adjust the speed of the game, and just kind of get to know, hey, what it means. What is a starting? I knew what it meant to be a starting quarterback in high school,
Right.
but what does that this next level look like? What is that preparation and hard work, and what does an everyday look like? And for me to kind of be right there next to him, and kind of watch and learn and see what he sees, and just kind of learning from him, that was as great of a first year that I could have had. And one day in particular, which I thought was really cool. We went in to watch film like we always do, and he sat me down and he's like, "We're not watching film today." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "We're only working on school." And as you know, like, he was a really hard worker in school, and something that I have learned from and kind of used and taken that throughout my college career. And when I was a freshman, I kind of was slacking off a little bit in your first year of college. And, you're adjusting with football and the new social life that you have and are making for yourself. But as I grew older, I've taken that, and I've gotten 4.0s, and now I'm pursuing my master's here at UConn. But I've always thought that story was almost more powerful than a lot of the other things that I learned from him in football.
Oh yeah, definitely. And most people probably don't, see that side of guys
Yeah.
like that. They just see the football side. They're like, oh, he's going to the NFL. Who cares about the other stuff? But
Oh,
that's
totally.
and he could have totally acted like that. He could have, he knew he was going to the NFL. He
Yeah.
totally could have just been like, you know what, I don't care about school, whatever. I just got to pass and graduate and go to the NFL.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah,
it's
and
awesome.
he, at that time, he was already, a top, at least at the very least, a top 10 guy. It was, between him, Tua, and Burrow at the time. And, he knew like he was locked, first round, early
Yeah,
first round. And for him to say no till the very end, like school is the most important thing in my life. And I thought that was really powerful and kind of speaks volumes to just the worker that he is, and the intelligence that he has, and the way he goes about his craft. And I became really good friends with his younger brother too. We were roommates. Patrick, he's still playing as a tight end there now, but he and I became really good buddies. So we were always kind of all hanging out, me, Justin, and him, and a few other guys. So
yeah, yeah. It's really cool. For you, then you got your first taste of playing action in the following year. But
yeah,
as a quarterback, your playing action didn't come by taking snaps
yeah,
as quarterback. You were a special teams guy in a few games, Cal, USC, and Iowa State.
yeah,
One of those being the Pac-12 champ game, the other one being the Fiesta Bowl.
yeah,
So we kind of skip over the Cal game. Like
yeah,
we'll talk about the other two because the bigger games,
yeah.
but did you know like ahead of the games? Like, did coach tell you, hey, you're gonna play special teams, or hey, you're gonna get some action, but you didn't know how? Like, did you know ahead of time?
Yeah, well, it's funny because that special teams has kind of it kind of came out of nowhere for me, really. I think you kind of have to start, the year before, I guess, with my freshman year, my true freshman year. Um, I had shoulder surgery. I broke my collarbone, and I have half a collarbone now. And so if you like feel on both sides, one side just like there's nothing there, and it's never felt the same since. But when I was kind of recovering in that, a lot of practices were focused more towards the weightlifting and speed kind of side, and um, working with the strength coaches and the speed guys there, I got a lot faster and a lot stronger. So come that next year, once I was healed, I was still a young guy and, wasn't necessarily competing. I think it was Tyler Shuck and Anthony Brown were the two guys that year. But I was behind those guys, and, I felt like my athleticism, I felt like I could help the team. And, with COVID and everything, it was weird, kind of a weird scenario where I was kind of playing a bunch of different positions during practice. I was playing receiver, I was playing quarterback, I was playing tight end, I was playing corner, I was playing safety. I was doing everything every week. And they ended up saying, hey, like, we need some guys, and we think you can play special teams. We need you to play special teams. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And it kind of started, so Cal didn't do much. I think I had like one snap or whatever. And then the Pac-12 title game was kind of unique because I was on the kickoff team, the punt return team, and then the kickoff return team. And I'm watching, kind of the pregame, and Kirk Herbstreit's talking about the game, and they're talking about Halfunga. What's his first name? I think it's something Halfunga, the safety for the 49ers. Anyways, he's all
Yeah,
pro
yeah,
safety, Halfunga. And I'm watching him over and over. I'm like, oh boy, like good, good player. And the second I get out of my hotel room to get ready for, the team meal before the game, our special teams coach comes up to me. He's like, hey, you got that guy on special teams. Like he's your mark. You gotta, block him on punt return. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So this is the Pac-12 title game. And for them to have so much trust in me that like I was the best combination of speed and strength to guard him. And I felt like had a big role in that game. And I ended up making a really nice play on kickoff and had a nice hit inside the 20. And for a quarterback, who had, been playing special teams. Like, that's unheard of for a quarterback to play special teams and run down and hit guys on kickoff. And I'd like to say that that generated a lot of momentum and excitement from that play, and ultimately helped us win the Pac-12 title game. And then the next game, Iowa State didn't go as planned, but it was a great season, and unfortunately, it was so short because of COVID. But it was a really fun experience at Oregon.
Was Purdy the guy for Iowa State when you guys
Yeah,
played them?
yeah. So Brock Purdy was the guy. I thought he was pretty good. I had no idea. Like, it's just funny how some guys just pop like that once they get to the league. You never know. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it really is. The atmosphere for those two games had to have been unreal. I mean, pretty huge stage to be on for both of them.
yeah, I would, viewing wise, yes, but when you're in the Coliseum and it's empty for COVID,
Yeah. Yeah, I
was
suppose.
which really sucked, because that would have been such an electric game. It was weird though, because for the title game, I can't remember why it was in the Coliseum. I think there was something to deal with. They didn't. Sorry, my light came off, but I don't know why they decided to have the game in the Coliseum when that's clearly not a neutral site game. So that was kind of a
Yeah.
weird deal. But I think we were supposed to play Utah or UW, and then a certain amount of guys got COVID. Something weird happened, but we were really excited when we found out we were playing them. So
Yeah, definitely. So why did you then decide to go to Northern Arizona?
yeah, so after that season, it was kind of clear that Anthony or Tyler was going to continue to be the guy because they both had more years of eligibility. Uh, I was just coming off my shoulder. There's kind of a bunch of different things that kind of went into that and in that decision. Um, but most of it was, hey, I'm still young. I might as well go somewhere where I can just play. Like, I just wanted to get on the field. And um, Anthony ended up starting. He's on the Ravens now. And Tyler ended up transferring too. So he went to Texas Tech. I left, and while I was in the portal, I was, looking for a school to go to, and my family was planning on moving to Arizona. So that kind of the decision to go to Northern Arizona happened primarily because my family was moving there. And, when you're living in Seattle in the rain for 18 years, we were really excited to just like be in the sunshine and like be in our new house. Like we had a pool, like we have a pool now. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I want to be by the house, like so bad. I know, totally like wrong way to make like a college decision, but I was like, okay, FCS, like I can go play here. And I'm only, a 2 hour car ride from Scottsdale where my family's at. So that was kind of the decision there. Um, and that was a terrible decision for me, just because the, I don't want to speak so down on that program there, but to summarize things up, I think I was very underutilized. And I was still recovering from my shoulder. So I think some things happened, and some bad energy started to occur. And, I was just so unhappy there. And the program, it was weird from going from Oregon to NAU was really tough because it felt like, okay, here we are, this, top program in the country. And now it felt like a club. Like it felt like I was like on a club team, just going like that change. And there were so many unorthodox things that were going on, and just things that were out of the ordinary, and stuff that wouldn't even expect to go on at a college program. And that's kind of another conversation, but just wanted to get out of there. So that was, a short 6 month um little decision and season there. So
Yeah. Yes, one bright spot would be your touchdown at
yeah,
Sam Houston.
yeah,
Um, your first college touchdown. So that'd be probably I guess the only bright spot based on what you just said.
yeah, totally. And it was funny because that when we were battling for the quarterback position, I was told I was gonna get my chance in that game, and it never really came, and I wasn't even supposed to throw the ball in that play. Um, but I kind of just instinctively, I saw it was a cat corner, if I'm remembering right. So the cat came off, and I just whipped it out to the receiver, and he made a great play. But yeah, that was my first collegiate touchdown, and that was pretty cool. It was also my first pass in my career, which was cool. Um, but and then after that game, I was like, oh yeah, like this next week will be great. Like they're gonna, let me go in, and they just never gave me the opportunity to play any game. So uh they kind of screwed me over. So I just hit the portal after that. So
Yeah, just didn't work out. Wasn't meant to be. Wasn't
no,
the right
wasn't meant to
fit.
be.
But then you headed to UConn, where you are
Yeah,
now, and things seem to be going better. You've had more
yeah,
opportunities, you've had more playing time, more everything since you've got there.
yeah,
Um, there's a lot we can go through here. We might as well start with last year. You had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown at
yeah.
FIU, also a 49-yard run. So talk about that game a little bit.
Yeah, no, that game was really cool. So I was the backup for all of last year. But because of my athleticism, I think I had a few packages where I would, go in and run or throw. There's some trick plays, and for that game, uh really we started. So I think my first play was a little trick play where we had Zion, he handed it off to Victor. Victor then tossed it to me, and then I was supposed to throw it back to Zion. And it was funny because we had practiced that play, every single week and never really had the opportunity to run it. And then, it finally comes up where, hey, this is a good spot to run this. And coach made a great call, and we executed it, and it was really fun throwing a touchdown to Zion, who's my buddy and the quarterback, and uh, so that was the first one that was really exciting. But and being in Florida is super hot and humid, so Zion starts kind of cramping at the end of the game, and it kind of got worse and worse with each drive, and really needed kind of one more touchdown, to put him away. So, I end up going in, and we're kind of in a 4-minute situation, but at the same time, like we need a score to, kind of seal the deal. Um, and we had this, I forget what it was, third down. I think we were on the left hash. I can't remember. Maybe middle of the field. I can't remember. But I end up just typical read zone and crashed hard on the back, and then I just took off. So that was really exciting. I think that was my longest touchdown run of my entire life, even junior football.
Oh
So it's kind
wow.
of how that happens in college, because most of your long runs are supposed to be when you're younger, but that was the longest run that I've had. It was really cool. It was a really special win and special moment because each win that year was so important to getting us to a bowl game, so being able to help in that regard, it was really special for me, and definitely a highlight of my college career that I've had.
Right, especially since you mentioned you being underutilized at Northern Arizona,
Yeah,
not getting a chance. You come into UConn, and you get a chance to help the
yeah,
team. What you did, like you said, contributed to the team making a bowl. And you had appearances throughout, some other games. But like, let's talk about Coach Mora. He comes
yeah,
in, and he's got a guy with experience at all kinds of different levels. He's been a position coach at different levels, a head coach in the NFL. He's a guy who's got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and he comes to a program in UConn that really wasn't anything to be afraid of
Yeah.
in the years before he got there. You could pretty much count on them being one of the worst teams in college football for a few years there.
Yeah.
He comes in, he turns it around. Like you said, you guys were 6-7. You made a bowl game. Great first year for him. What's he like, to play for, with him kind of turning around the program?
Yeah. No, I think, going to UConn, I think I landed in a really kind of unique and special situation and program. I think it was, perfect that, Coach Mora came here, just because we've such a great basketball team and program and history with basketball, but all those fans, people in America, they love football, and they wanted their football team to be something here. And I think Coach Mora and the guys that he brought in, the players, coaches, the staff, I think that we're building something special. And to go from 1-11 to making a bowl game last year. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but and then to beat Liberty, a top 25 team, and just so many things that hadn't been done at UConn in a really long time. To do all that in such a quick turnaround is really amazing. But I think it speaks volumes to the people that he's brought in, the work that we put in every day, and kind of the culture that we're building. And I think we're going to continue to see that progress this season. Obviously, we started out 0-1, but NC State's a great team. And they handled us real good last year. But to see, how much closer that game was, and really we should have won that game and could have won that game, just shows like how far we've come as a program. And we're just going to keep building. So, but yeah, Coach Moore has been great. He's best head coach I've ever played for. And it's really a great family atmosphere, and it's really special.
Yeah, that NC State game. I mean, there were a lot of people before that game who were convinced that NC
Yeah.
State was going to blow you guys out. They were like, "There's not a
Yeah.
chance UConn is in this game," and there were very few believers. But I mean, you guys lost, and if there is such a thing as a good loss, I guess on your resume, that's what this would be. I mean, you
Yeah.
lose to like you said, it's a great program, great ACC Power 5 team that has a long history of
Yeah.
successful football teams, and you guys lost them by 10 points. You guys had
Yeah.
the lead in the game. You were in it the whole time. So, it really shows a lot to where your program's at, based on, like you said, a few years ago, would have been a different result. But you guys have a really, really hard schedule, actually. Looking at
Yeah.
your schedule, you guys played Duke, Boston College, Tennessee, James Madison, and then now UMass. They're a
Yeah.
team you can't really. They're not a pushover anymore. That New Mexico State win was I think kind of proved that you can't really just waltz in there and expect to beat them like previous years with that team. But let's start with Duke. Did you watch the game last night? Duke Clemson.
I didn't watch the game. Just it's funny moving to the East Coast. All these night games to me drive me freaking crazy. I don't know who thought that's these 8 p.m. starts. I don't know who thought of that. So I love being on the West Coast watching games. But no, I didn't watch the game. But I saw it on the TV early this morning, and they'll be a challenge for sure. But we're kind of focused, week by week, and
Right.
so we'll get to them
Definitely.
when we do. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you guys week by week, obviously.
Yeah.
As a team, as a fan, you just look at it and you're like, oh, we got all these
Totally.
teams later on.
Absolutely.
And, I'm
Well,
I'm
yeah.
sure
So
the
same for Tennessee for that matter. Tennessee will be
Right.
an exciting game, as was Michigan last year, to get a play in those stadiums and, get a piece of those programs and, be on a bigger kind of showcase and display. It's great
Yeah.
for UConn to, be on that stage.
And then it's fun for all of you guys just to get that
Yeah.
experience playing against those. I mean, those are some of the best athletes in the country, guys on Tennessee and Duke, these massive programs, and just to get the chance to play them, something that only handful of people can say every year.
Oh yeah.
Win, lose, or draw, whatever the result is, you still got to play against these high
Yeah.
class athletes. But next week you guys got, or this week I guess you guys got
Yeah.
Georgia State.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of funny. Last week I sent out a text to the starting quarterback at Georgia State, and
Oh yeah.
planned a podcast for tomorrow. I mean, no promises.
Oh.
Sometimes, things fall out, they don't work out. But as of now, I'm scheduled to do a podcast tomorrow with the starting quarterback at Georgia State. And it's kind
That's
of
funny.
funny that I messaged you and we're doing this now. So, you guys play each other and have back-to-back episodes with a
That's
UConn and
funny.
then a Georgia State.
That's funny.
But that should be an exciting game. I watched some of their game against Rhode Island, and it was a fun game to watch. I think it'll be same thing when you guys play them. I think it'll be
Yeah.
definitely a fun game to watch, and should be an exciting one.
Yeah, for sure. We're excited to go down there. So, like I said, just taking it week by week, and they've got a great program, and we're excited to get a piece of them this weekend. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So I'm assuming I kind of have an idea, goals. You
Yeah.
guys made a bowl last year. I'm assuming it's a goal to, make a bowl again and then to win
Yeah.
a bowl game. But I guess what's the feeling? What's coach been talking about? What are you guys thinking for kind of like what your expectations are? I guess maybe that's a better way to put it for this season.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, we've been really focused on that 1-0 mentality and taking it week by week. But you want to make a big bowl game. I think this team, I think we can have a great run. I think we've got special guys in the room, that we've added. This team is totally new from last year, so much different, and has really just been built off of last year's team. And we've got some new guys that can do some special things, and I think we can do a lot of special things. So, I just, this is my last year, and I would love nothing more than to go out on a great bowl victory, and hopefully maybe, I don't want to put a limit on the amount of wins that we can have, but I want to win the rest of them. So
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, you don't want to put a limit on it. You don't want
yeah,
we only want to win 7 games, because if anyone said that, they'd be lying. Everyone wants to
yeah,
win as many games as possible.
yeah, right. Yeah. So hopefully, play late in December, early January. So that's the plan.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention, I'm a big like jersey helmet, but like I love jerseys,
Oh yeah,
love helmets, logos. And you guys have some pretty cool jerseys. I mean,
yeah,
UConn's got a great brand, great logo.
yeah,
So, when you see that in hockey and basketball, and then, you look at your football jerseys, like all
sure,
around, UConn's got some great just
yeah,
looks and, look good, play good.
yeah. No, I think our uniforms are sweet. I think they're clean. At Oregon, I loved our Oregon
Oh,
uniforms
yeah.
just because they're, the flash with, the swoosh and all that jazz. But, I think we've got a great logo. I love the husky dog with the red eyes. That was kind of a new addition that Coach Mora added, was the red eyes. And some red outlining. I think he added a little more red, and I think it's, a little more intimidating and a little
Yeah.
more pop and a little more in your face. And I think that's great. And it looks really sharp when we're out there on Saturdays. So
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned the basketball programs
yeah,
obviously being really good. And obviously the women's program's been one of the best in the country for as long as anyone can remember. And the men just
absolutely.
won a national
Yeah.
championship. So have you been to any games? You go to any last year?
I didn't go to any games last year, which is kind of pathetic. Uh, I guess I just never got around to it. I had, with grad school and everything, everything's kind of grueling. And, I've never been a huge basketball fan. I don't know why. I loved playing basketball growing up. Um, and I don't know why I didn't go. It's really pathetic of me, but I will definitely go, this year. Hopefully we can win the whole thing again. But uh, when we kind of went on that run in March Madness, there was a lot of excitement here with the student body and our fan base, and it was really cool to be a part of. And then when we won, uh, everybody was kind of out around stores. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but when we won the national championship, it was kind of crazy. People just kind of were going crazy, like flipping cars and breaking stuff, which I don't know why, for whatever reason, once we win the national championship, now we're going to just burn our whole school down. I don't know why that made sense to some people or why people were doing that. You should be taking pride in your school. You just won the national
Yeah.
championship, but um, I guess that's what happens when there's a bunch of drunk college kids running around. But it was kind of an unreal or surreal experience to just kind of see. Gosh, there had to have been 40,000 kids at least, roaming the streets, and you couldn't even walk on the streets, and just people chanting and the fight song and just playing music and just so excited. It was really, really cool. It was really, I'll never forget that. So national champions, but hopefully we can do it again. So,
Yeah, back to back.
right.
Um, what was your favorite football player and team growing up? Who'd you root for?
Yeah. So my dad, he played in the NFL for 11 seasons, and he
Okay.
was a quarterback. Um, he was drafted to the Rams, and he was a backup most of his career, but had most of his success with the Patriots, New England Patriots. And so growing up, I was always, a big Patriot fan. I guess it's important to say that he met my mom when he was at the Broncos. So thank God he went to the Broncos because I wouldn't be talking to you right now. But yeah, but yeah, I grew up being a huge Patriot fan, and uh, come with that comes being a huge Tom Brady fan. So when I
Yeah.
was younger, I had, the whole fat head, and my room was just, I wish I could show you pictures of my room, but it was Tom Brady, everything. I was the biggest Tom Brady guy. I was wearing Patriot stuff, jerseys all the time when I was a kid. And, I still love him. I thought he was going to play one more year. Because if you're gonna unretire, at least play two more seasons. I don't know. That just didn't make sense to me. But I guess everything that kind of happened with him and his family kind of makes sense for him to be done. But yeah, growing up was Tom Brady. Um, I just I think watching him, I'll never forget that Super Bowl 51. As being a sports fan, that is that's the peak being as being a sports fan goes, that's got to be the peak joy that anybody could ever have as a fan. Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, just pure disgust and just so much, defeat followed by so much victory and triumph. Just the total flip, unbelievable game. But I'll be telling my kids about that one, how unbelievable that game was. Just um, a really cool experience to be able to watch as a kid and a fan of his.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be nice to be a Patriots fan. You guys had a lot of success. You guys know what winning, you know what winning feels like.
Yeah, it was well, yeah, we were lucky. It was funny. We had so living in Seattle, or growing up near Seattle, that Seahawks Patriot Super Bowl was kind of funny because we had, a bunch of family and friends come, and, everybody's repping the Seahawks. And me, my dad, and my brother, we actually watched like the whole fourth quarter in the basement while we had huge Super Bowl party with like 40 people upstairs, screaming at the TV for the Seahawks. And then, obviously when Malcolm Butler caught that interception, there's three of us screaming in the basement and they're just dead silent upstairs. So it was a really kind of awkward Super Bowl, an awkward day, but I'll never forget the memories that I had, growing up watching those games with, my dad, my brother, and my mom, rooting on the Patriots. But I guess now, I'm all Justin Herbert now, so I'm pulling for my boy this
Yeah,
year. So
of course. You have to. So quick here before we got a couple
yeah,
questions to wrap it up, but quick. You mentioned your dad playing in the league. That had to have been huge for you growing up, as a quarterback, to have that, in your back pocket, the experience your dad had to kind of help you out when in your development.
yeah. I'm so lucky and so blessed. There's so many kids, they grow up wanting to be quarterbacks and, having to uh pay for coaching and go to all these camps and try to learn how to throw. And, there's so many. I was really blessed to have all those resources right in my house. So hey dad, you want to go throw? Yeah, let's go throw. So I can't even tell you how many times we would drive up to the field and just work on, trying to working on my motion or throwing with, my receivers, and he's watching, and he coached me my whole life up until my senior year, obviously, and once I went to college. But to have him, uh, it was, I'm so thankful for that. And we created a lot of great memories, that, that we were able to have as him as my coach and me playing for him. So it was fun.
Yeah, awesome. So this is kind of I don't know, a question I like to ask. It's kind of a fun question. I like to hear what people say. But let's say you're out with the boys and you guys
Sure.
you're at a bar, you're at a party or
Sure.
something, man. You got to sing some karaoke. You lose a bet or whatever. You got to go up and sing
Oh,
karaoke. But
yeah.
the guys are gonna let you pick the song. What song are you gonna sing?
Gosh. It's funny because we've done karaoke a few times out in Scottsdale. But um gosh, I guess, another way to rephrase the question is what music do you listen to the most, I guess, too. But I would say, Morgan Wallen right now.
Yeah.
I'm huge on Morgan Wallen. I really like the song Seven Summers. And
Okay.
um what's the other one? Um shoot, it's the third one on his album. Uh Gosh, I can't remember, but now it's driving me crazy. I have to pull it up. Hang on.
Yeah.
Driving
No,
me
it's
crazy
the
'cause
worst when you
I freaking love that song.
so you'd be
Uh
rocking some Morgan
oh,
Wallen at the
everything I love.
karaoke.
Everything
Okay.
I I like Tennessee Fan. Um that's kind of ironic now because I'll probably hear that song when we're there. But yeah, I just love Morgan Wallen. Thought You Should Know. I love that song. Gosh, he's got a bunch of good ones. I'd probably sing a Morgan Wallen song.
Yeah.
I also love Lil Baby.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love
Different, we got
so
country
yeah,
and
super
now we're
Morgan. I was really hard on I really like all the Lil Baby stuff, and I started liking him a few years ago. But Morgan Wallen was more recent, and now I'm kind of like, ugh, a little more Morgan Wallen than Lil Baby now. But
yeah.
no, but between those two, those are my guys. Totally opposite of each other, but
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What's the vibe on the team? Like warm-ups and stuff, like guys put the aux on. What do you guys hear? A lot of rap, or you
yeah,
guys got
I mean,
country, or
we never really hear country, which is kind of unfortunate. But I would say Lil Baby definitely runs the locker room. Ox. I would say I hear more Lil Baby than I hear anybody else.
Yeah.
A lot of Young Boy, a lot of
Okay.
Young
Yeah.
Boy, which I really don't like Young Boy. I think a lot of his stuff is just I'm not a big Young Boy guy. Lot of Kodak, a lot of Kodak
Oh,
Black.
yeah.
Drake's kind of always hit or miss, but not really with this team that much. Rod Wave, we get some good amount of Rod Wave. Guys we'll all sing. Rod Wave is when kind of everybody will sing in the team meeting rooms. It's really fun. But yeah, to answer that, I would say Lil Baby I probably hear the most.
Do different guys take turns like with the ox, or is it like one guy's got the team playlist and
Well, it's kind of different. We have a team playlist for our meetings and stuff. So kind of before the meeting, it's always kind of the same playlist with, all the guys I just mentioned. And that's kind of the same. But as far as the locker room, it's kind of everybody. Everybody kind of throws on stuff. Um, the other day they did some throwbacks. It'll get pretty fun in there. Like sometimes guys will just throw on like Katy Perry for no reason, and it'll just be like hilarious. I'm trying to think. What did somebody throw on the other day? Uh, they like songs that are kind of like around the vibe of like Mr. Brightside. Sometimes stuff like
oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly rap, but guys will switch it up every once in a while. But unfortunately, we're not hearing much country, more much Morgan Wallen in the locker room.
You gotta swipe the ox and rock some Morgan
I know.
Wallen.
Yeah, I'll throw it on. It's funny because there's a lot of the guys, most of the guys actually like it. It's just when you're trying to get pumped up for practice, you don't really want to hear some guy talking about drinking a beer or stuff.
Yeah,
It's got to be in your face. You know what I mean? So
right. I got you. So why don't we end the episode here on a big
yeah,
question? That's it for every football fan is who's gonna win the Super Bowl? So who are you picking to win the Super Bowl?
I got to go with the Chargers this year. Um,
Yeah.
I'm excited for them. I think my boy, he's gonna take the boys to the promised land. Um, if it's not them, I would like to say the AFC is kind of a powerhouse right now. I mean, you got the Chiefs. It'll be interesting to see what the Jets do this year. I don't
That's
see
my pick.
them. Oh,
That's
really?
my
The
pick.
Jets?
Yeah. I don't know. Like last year, looking at that team, the defense was really good. The offense, I just kind of feel like
See,
they were
yeah,
like they need a leader. They need a
they
quarterback.
got Sauce
Rodgers,
Gardner, right? Yeah,
yeah, they got Sauce Gardner on defense. The D line is nasty. And now I've been saying it. Garrett Wilson's going to be a top 5 guy this year
Aaron
with Aaron
Wilson will be good.
Rodgers. So I mean, I think they got some pieces on that offense. They're going to be electric with Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall if he stays
Yeah,
healthy. So that's my pick. I'm not just like hopping on the Rodgers bandwagon. I just
yeah.
kind of think that's what they needed.
Yeah, no, but I could see, gosh, there's a bunch of, I'd
The
say
Bills.
Chargers, the Bills, you got the Chargers, the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs, you got the Jets, um, the
I,
Dolphins. The
I was gonna say the
Dolphins,
Dolphins. I wouldn't
you
even be
know,
surprised. It's gonna be a crazy year.
it's funny.
Honestly, there's nobody from the NFC that's really like scary.
I mean, you still got the Niners and the Eagles. The Niners are weird because they've got such good play calling and such good talent, and then you just kind of don't really know. I don't know that there's such a hit or miss. I feel like you don't. They
Yeah.
they can catch fire. I don't know. They're a weird team. The Rams. I thought that was so disappointing, but wasn't Stafford and Cup hurt most of the year last year, anyways?
Yeah. And I think Cup's still like, I don't know, looking at fantasy, he's questionable. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it through the year again. I just feel like
Yeah,
once you get that injury bug, sometimes it doesn't stop.
yeah.
Which like look at McCaffrey. The guy hasn't been super healthy lately, which is a shame because he's unreal.
I could see the Seahawks. they might get interesting with their receiver core now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. A lot of people in Seattle are really glad that Russell Wilson left.
Yeah,
Um,
I could kind of get that. Like, I don't know, eventually the honeymoon's over. Like it's not.
yeah, it was a weird vibe. Like a lot of people were sad, because he had, brought us our first Super Bowl, and uh, that was really was Marshawn Lynch and LOB that brought us our first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not to say that he didn't, make it, I don't know. It felt like he was set up for success in Seattle, and for him, once he left, he wanted to throw the ball more, and felt like he wasn't as big, you know, didn't have as big of a role as he should have had. At least wanting to throw the ball more. And it's funny because, now he's throwing the ball more, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
We were protecting you.
Yeah,
We were protecting
maybe we shouldn't
Seattle,
let Russ cook. Like, don't let him cook because
Yeah,
what he's
don't,
making
don't
ain't
let
good.
Russ cook. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh
I don't
man.
know. Interesting to see what the Broncos do. I think they'll be better. That whole division is stacked. The Raiders are kind of unique. Um,
Yeah, is Jimmy G gonna play? Is he healthy? Is
yeah,
he? I don't
I don't know.
know. He's always been a guy I feel like who's got kind of like shit on his like whole career, but he's actually I don't know. I think he's a really good quarterback. Like I think you give him the right team, he can. Look, he took. I mean, he was on that you guys San Fran to the Super Bowl, and he played behind Brady so long. It's hard not to learn something and be able to be a good quarterback. I don't know. I've always
Yeah,
liked Jimmy G. I feel like he gets a lot of hate for no reason. Like he's not a
yeah,
superstar, but I don't
yeah.
know.
What do you think about the whole conferences switching with sorry, going back to college?
Oh, the realignment.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm not a huge fan of like the super conferences. I don't think it's good for the long like run of the game. I don't know. And I don't get Stanford, Cal, and SMU just joined the ACC, and everyone was talking about how stupid that is because they're on the other coast. And I was thinking like USC, UCLA joined the Big Ten. Like that's no different. Like you got Maryland on one coast, and I don't know. What do you think? As like a guy who plays college football, you're in college football. What do you think of all this
yeah.
noise?
I think it's sad for me. For the Pac-12, it's sad because I'm a Pac-12 champion. I'm a two-time Pac-12 champion. Like that's something to be proud of.
Yeah,
And I guess it kind of makes it unique that there will no longer be any more Pac-12 champions after this year. But it does make it sad. Kind of just the history of the Pac-12. My dad played in the Pac-10, and had gone for so many years. And it's funny because now it's the Pac-12. All
stacked.
all the teams are really good now, and all all the teams won this weekend.
Yeah,
They all won this weekend. So it's like, here we are. We're going to dismember the Pac-12, and now it's, of course, they want to be really good. And I think a big part of the problem was when COVID happened. The Pac-12, remember, we only played like 6 games, and everybody else, the Big Ten only played 6 games. But the SEC and the ACC, they did the whole season. Um, but I think it's just hard. I think the location, I think location is kind of going to be the biggest issue.
yeah. And
Especially
then
yeah,
like Oregon State and Washington State just getting left in the dust. It really sucks for the guys who are in those programs. Like yeah, I don't get it because they're two like really good. You look at Oregon State now; they've really risen. This past year to this
yeah,
year and what they can do. And Washington State's always been a brand. Like
yeah,
I don't know. I don't get why they got left out. Nobody wants them.
yeah. I wouldn't say that they got left out quite yet. I don't. You can't have a two-team conference, so
Right.
they're gonna join, whether that's the Mountain West or what they're gonna do with the Mountain West. Maybe the Mountain West now becomes the Pac-12. I really don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe the Beavers do join, the Big 12 or something, or the ACC. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
can't see them. Maybe they're independent, which would just not make sense either.
No. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like it doesn't make sense why those two so far nobody seems like they really want them. Nobody's pushing for them like the other teams. I get some of the other brands are bigger brands, but like I don't know, if you
Yeah.
look at those two programs as a whole, like their whole athletics, they've got really solid teams across the board. Oregon State's got some of the best like baseball program in the
Yeah.
country. Their
Absolutely.
football is really taken off. Washington State, you look at their athletics, I don't know. It's sad for college football, I think, for fans. There's
Yeah.
rivalries that are going to be ruined, and I don't know, it's tough.
I know, like, is because Oregon has to play UW every year. You have to do that.
Yeah.
You gotta have Oregon play, um, Oregon State every
Yeah,
year.
yeah. But yeah, the rivalries getting ruined across the board, like
Yeah,
I don't know. That's what college football fans, teams, everyone, that's what everyone lives for.
well, yeah, I think the money, they're always gonna chase money
Yeah.
is the issue. And I think the biggest problem is the Pac-12 kind of did it to themselves. They had all those, Pac-12 after dark or whatever, those night games, those 7 o'clock Pac-12 games, like they go just play at 9 a.m. or 10 in the morning
Yeah.
and
So
do
somebody can
those
watch
games
it.
there, because like I said, the East Coast has the worst times. The East Coast is the worst time. So nobody on the East Coast is going to watch a 10 o'clock start for a 7 o'clock Pacific time
Yeah.
game. Nobody's going to do that unless
Right.
they're crazy. Uh, but
Yeah.
nobody wants to watch those late games. Just have them play in the morning. I just don't understand why that was so hard to accomplish. And probably could have saved the Pac-12.
Yeah. Yeah. It really it's a shame,
It's also hard because some of those fan bases, like if you look at USC, right? USC football is competing with all the other entertainments of Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
they got to compete with the Lakers. They got to compete with the nice beaches. They got to compete with the new movies that are coming out. They got to compete with all the different entertainments that belong in Los Angeles, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard for, people in LA to sell out, even though it's pathetic they can't sell out a USC football game. But, that's kind of the problem is, LA has, that thing. There's so many things pulling away from USC and people pulled towards other things rather than go to those games. Same with Stanford, right? There's like nobody that goes to those Stanford games, so the fan bases kind of in the Pac-12 are kind of an issue. Even UW, when they were going to the playoff, UW, half the stadium was empty by the time, it was halftime. So I think those fan bases on the West Coast aren't nearly what they are, in the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So they're thinking, okay, how can we get the Coliseum filled up? Well, let's go get Ohio State to come play in the Coliseum. Now people are that's gonna sell out. Let's go get Michigan to go come. Oregon never really had an issue. I feel like just because Oregon, like I said, Oregon doesn't have an NFL team. There's not much distracting from Oregon football, so Oregon was fine. But let's go get Michigan to go play in Husky Stadium. That's how we get revenue going. So I don't. It's too bad. But
Yeah, I get all of it, but I don't love it. I don't think it's good for the game. I don't think the like longevity. I think it'll be fine right away, but where does it end? Like all this
I think
happens. I don't know.
yeah,
People are saying they don't think realignment's over. Like now, teams have these super conferences have however many teams, but what happens when they want 20 or they want more? They just try to like I don't know. where does it end?
Yeah. No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, especially with the playoff switching next year to what, 8 teams or something? 16,
12.
12? Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's good for the game because I
That
feel
would be good.
like this
That's
year is a
better.
year where it would be awesome because there's a lot of teams. Like there's so many good
That's
teams.
better. 12 is definitely better.
Yeah, you look at basketball, you get 64, and football, you had 4. It's like, how do you really know who's the best?
Yeah. Right.
But
So,
yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. Well, Cale, thanks for coming on this episode
yeah,
podcast. Had a good time talking about a lot of different stuff. Good luck with the rest of
absolutely.
your season.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks so much for having me.